Imagine, if you will, a world where every single human being, regardless of their birth, their bank account, their geography, or their talent, is handed the exact same treasure at the start of every day. No exceptions, no VIP upgrades, no extensions for the wealthy. This treasure is exactly 86,400 seconds. We call this the equalizer. The reason most people struggle is not because they lack talent. It's not because the world is against them. It's because they suffer from the greatest illusion of the modern age, the belief that they have no time. We hear it everywhere. I'd start that business, but I have no time. I'd get in shape, but I have no time. I'd write that book, but there just aren't enough hours in the day. Let me tell you the cold, hard truth. You have the exact same amount of time as the greatest thinkers, leaders, and achievers in human history. You have the same 24 hours that Albert Einstein had. You have the same 24 hours that built empires. The difference between the person who changes the world and the person who just watches it go by is not the amount of time they have, it is how they architect that time. Time is a canvas. Every morning you wake up, you are handed a fresh brush. That brush is your choice. The question isn't whether you have a canvas. The question is, what are you going to paint?
Success, as my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, once taught me, is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure, on the other hand, is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. When you apply this to time, you realize that your life is not built in years, it is built in minutes. Think of an hourglass. We all look at the bottom, the past, and we obsess over the sand that has already fallen. We worry about wasted years and missed opportunities. Or we look at the top, the future, and we get overwhelmed by how much is left to do. But the power of the equalizer exists only in the neck of the glass, the single grain of sand passing through the middle right now. That is the only place where you have power. If you can master the grain of sand that is passing through the glass right now, you can master your life. But most people are so busy looking at the bottom or the top that they let the middle flow by unnoticed. They're busy, but they aren't productive. There's a massive difference between motion and progress. A rocking chair has plenty of motion, but it doesn't get anywhere. To become a master of time, you must stop being a passenger in your own life and start being the pilot. You must recognize that time is the only currency you can never earn back. If you lose $1, you can find another. If you lose a friend, you can make another. But if you lose a Tuesday, it is gone into the vacuum of history, never to be seen again.
If time is the equalizer, then discipline is the bridge. It is the bridge between the goals you dream about and the accomplishments you actually achieve. I want you to think about your daily routine. Most people live by accidental time. They wake up and react. They react to the alarm. They react to their phone notifications. They react to their boss's emails. They are playing defense all day long. If you want to join the top 5% of achievers, you must play offense. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is this: don't start your day until you have finished it on paper. This is the essence of time management. By mapping out your day before it begins, you are claiming ownership of your seconds. You are telling the day what it will be, rather than letting the day tell you who you are. This requires the discipline to say no. We are living in an age of infinite distraction. Every app on your phone, every ping in your pocket is a thief. They are trying to steal your most valuable asset. Every time you say yes to a mindless distraction, you are subconsciously saying no to your future. You are saying no to your dreams. You are saying no to the person you were meant to become. Improving your self-discipline is like building a muscle. You don't go to the gym and lift 500 pounds on the first day. You start with what you can handle. Maybe today you discipline yourself to stay away from social media for the first hour of the day. Tomorrow you discipline yourself to focus on one task for 30 minutes without interruption. These small wins compound.
We often overlook the little things. We think that to change our lives, we need a massive tectonic shift. We think we need $1 million investment or a lucky break. But the equalizer teaches us that life changes in the margins. If you improve your use of time by just 1% every day, where will you be in a year? If you spend just 15 minutes a day learning a new language or reading a book that sharpens your skills or studying your finances, within a few years, you will be an expert. 15 minutes sounds like nothing. Most people waste 15 minutes waiting for the coffee to brew or scrolling through a news feed that only makes them angry. But 15 minutes a day, compounded over a decade, is the difference between a life of average struggle and a life of extraordinary abundance. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And self-education requires nothing more than the disciplined use of those small pockets of time that everyone else throws away. Look for the dead time in your day. The commute, the wait at the doctor's office, the time spent in line. This is where the winners are made. While the rest of the world is complaining about the wait, the achiever is listening to a seminar, reading a book, or studying their finances. They are using the equalizer to their advantage. We cannot talk about the importance of time without talking about what we are spending it on. You can be the most efficient person in the world, but if you are climbing a ladder that is leaning against the wrong wall, you are only getting to the wrong place faster. Time management is ultimately about value management. What do you value? If you say you value your family, but you never have time for them, then the truth is that you don't value them as much as you think. If you say you value your health, but you can't find 30 minutes to move your body, then you are lying to yourself. The equalizer forces us to be honest. Our calendars don't lie. Your bank statement and your calendar are the two most accurate indicators of your true priorities. If you want to change your life, you have to change your schedule. This brings us to the concept of presence. Some of the best communication happens when you stop talking and start listening. In our rush to save time, we often sacrifice the quality of our relationships. We are physically there, but mentally we are checking our watches. We are thinking about the next task. True mastery of time means knowing when to be fast and when to be slow. Be fast with your tasks, but be slow with people. Improve your communication by giving people your undivided time. That is the greatest gift you can give anyone, a piece of your life that you will never get back. Let's talk about your finances, because time and money are inextricably linked. Most people trade their time for money. This is the first level of economic survival. But if you want to reach the level of financial freedom, you must learn to turn your time into value. The marketplace doesn't pay you for your time. It pays you for the value you bring to that time. An hour spent by a world-class surgeon is worth more to the marketplace than an hour spent by a person flipping burgers. Why? Because the surgeon spent years of equalized time building a skill that is rare and valuable. If you are unhappy with your income, don't ask for more time. You can't have any. Instead, ask for more skill. Use your extra time to become more valuable. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Stop wondering where your money went and start telling it where to go. The same goes for your minutes. Track them. Audit them. For 1 week, write down everything you do. You will be shocked at how many holes there are in your bucket. You'll see hours leaking out into activities that bring you no joy, no profit, and no growth. Plug those leaks, and you'll find the wealth of time you've been looking for. Why bother with all this? Why be so disciplined? Why worry about every minute? Because of purpose. Without a purpose, time is a burden. If you don't have a why, then the 86,400 seconds you get every day will feel like a long, grueling march. But when you find your purpose, when you find that thing that sets your soul on fire, then 24 hours isn't enough. You'll wish you had 48. Purpose gives your time a North Star. It allows you to filter your choices. When an opportunity comes your way, you don't ask, "Do I have time for this?" You ask, "Does this align with my purpose?" If it doesn't, the answer is an easy no. Purpose turns a job into a calling. It turns a workout into a mission. It turns a budget into a blueprint for freedom. If you haven't found your purpose yet, make that your first task. Spend your time searching for it. Reflect, read, and experiment, because once you find it, the equalizer becomes your greatest ally. As we close this workshop, I want you to look at your hands. You may not see it, but you are holding a brush. And right now, there's a fresh white canvas sitting in front of you. It's called today. You cannot go back and repaint yesterday. It is hung in the gallery of the past, permanent and unchangeable. And you cannot paint tomorrow yet. The paint isn't ready. All you have is the now. What will you paint? Will you paint a masterpiece of discipline, growth, and contribution? Or will you leave the canvas blank, letting the seconds drip away into the gray mist of someday? Remember, success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And you become that person 1 second, 1 minute, and 1 disciplined choice at a time. The clock is ticking. The equalizer has made its deposit. The question is, what are you going to do with your 86,400? Go out there and make it count.
We live in a world that wears busy like a badge of honor. If you ask someone how they are doing, 9 times out of 10, the answer is, "I'm just so busy." We have turned exhaustion into a status symbol. We believe that if our calendars are full, our lives must be meaningful. If we are running, we must be moving forward. But I'm here to tell you that being busy is often a form of laziness. That sounds harsh, doesn't it? How can someone working 12 hours a day be lazy? Because it is lazy to be busy with the easy, the urgent, and the trivial so that you can avoid the hard, the important, and the essential. It is easy to answer 100 emails. It is hard to sit in silence and think of a strategy that will double your business. It is easy to attend 3 meetings. It is hard to have the one difficult conversation you've been avoiding for months. Activity is not accomplishment. Imagine a rocking chair. It moves constantly. It creaks. It groans. It exerts energy. But at the end of the day, it hasn't left the porch. That is how many people live their lives. They are in a constant state of motion, but they are geographically and spiritually in the exact same place they were 5 years ago.
To move from busy to productive, you must understand the math of success. In the late 19th century, Vilfredo Pareto noticed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. This principle, the 80-20 rule, applies to almost everything in your life. 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. 80% of your stress comes from 20% of your problems. 80% of your profit comes from 20% of your customers. The busy person treats all tasks as equal. They have a to-do list that is 20 items long, and they start at the top. They check off the small things, picking up dry cleaning, clearing the inbox, filing papers, and they feel a false sense of progress. But the one item that actually matters, the item that would change their career or their health, sits at the bottom of the list, untouched. The productive person is a ruthless prioritizer. They look at that list and ask which one of these items makes the other 19 irrelevant or easier. They ignore the trivial many to focus on the vital few. They understand that you don't need more time, you need more intensity on the things that matter.
One of the greatest enemies of productivity is the myth of multitasking. We think we are being efficient when we listen to a podcast, answer a text, and write a report at the same time. But the human brain is not wired to multitask. It is wired to switch task. Every time you switch your attention from one thing to another, you pay a switching cost. It takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to get back into a state of deep work after a single distraction. If you check your phone every 10 minutes, you are never actually working at your full capacity. You are operating in a state of attention residue, where your mind is still half tangled in the last thing you looked at. The busy person is a fragmented person. Their energy is sprayed like a garden hose with no nozzle, lots of water but no pressure. The productive person is a laser. A laser is just light, the same as the light in your living room, but when you take that light and focus it into a single, narrow beam, it can cut through steel. Productivity is the art of single tasking. It is the discipline to do one thing at one time with 100% of your soul until it is finished.
How do you practically make the shift? You do it by protecting your time with the power hour. Most people give their best hours away to the world. They wake up and immediately plug into the matrix, the news, the social media feed, the opinions of others. By the time they sit down to do their real work, their mental energy is already depleted. The productive individual realizes that energy is a finite resource. They identify their biological prime time, those 2 or 3 hours a day when their brain is sharpest, and they build a fortress around them. During this time, phone is off, not on silent, but in another room. Wi-Fi is disconnected if not needed. The hardest task is tackled first, what Mark Twain called eating the frog. If you spend your first 90 minutes every day on your number one goal, you will achieve more in a month than most people do in a year. Why? Because you are working with unfragmented focus. Busy people work in the shallows. Productive people work in the deep.
You cannot be productive if you are a people pleaser. The word no is the most powerful tool in the time management toolkit. Every time you say yes to a meeting you don't need to attend, or a coffee date with someone who drains your energy, or a project that doesn't align with your goals, you are stealing from yourself. Busy people say yes to everything because they fear missing out. FOMO. They want to be liked. They want to be everywhere. But as the saying goes, if you are everywhere, you are nowhere. Productive people have the courage to be misunderstood. They realize that their time is their life, and to waste their time is to waste their life. They don't offer long-winded excuses. They simply say, "That sounds like a great opportunity, but it doesn't align with my current priorities." Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't let your mouth overload your back." If you take on too much, you will do everything poorly. If you take on the right things, you will do them excellently. Excellence requires the space that only no can provide.
The busy person thinks that sleep is for the weak. They drink 10 cups of coffee, stay up until 2 a.m., and brag about their grind. But science tells a different story. A sleep-deprived brain is functionally equivalent to a drunk brain. Productivity is not about how many hours you put in. It's about what you put into the hours. You cannot have high-intensity output without high-quality input. This means rest, nutrition, and reflection are not breaks from productivity. They are part of the process. Think of an archer. If the archer keeps the bowstring pulled tight all day long, eventually the bow will snap or the string will lose its elasticity. To fire the arrow with power, the archer must release the tension. True productivity includes white space in your calendar, time to think, time to walk, time to do nothing. It is in the silence that the best ideas are born. If your schedule is 100% full, you have no room for inspiration.
I want you to perform a productivity audit on your life this week. Carry a notebook with you and write down what you do every 30 minutes. Be honest. At the end of the week, look at the data. How much time did you spend in the shallows? Emails, social media, and trivial admin? How much time did you spend in the deep? Strategy, skill building, high-value creation? How much time was spent on other people's priorities? The gap between where you are and where you want to be is found in those numbers. To bridge that gap, you don't need to work harder. You've been working hard enough. You need to work sharper. Stop asking, how can I get more done? And start asking, what is actually worth doing? We will not be judged by how busy we were. No one's tombstone ever said he answered his emails within 5 minutes. We will be judged by the fruit we produced. We will be judged by the lives we touched, the businesses we built, and the character we developed. The equalizer gives us all the same 24 hours. The busy person spends them. The productive person invests them. One leads to exhaustion and regret. The other leads to influence and legacy. The choice is yours. The clock is ticking. Don't just be busy. Be effective. Most people wake up and let the world happen to them. They're like a ship without a rudder, drifting wherever the wind of circumstance blows. If the wind is good, they have a good day. If the wind is bad, they have a bad day. They are victims of the morning chaos. They check their phone before they even get out of bed, and in that instant, they have handed the keys to their life over to someone else. They are reacting to news, reacting to social media, and reacting to the demands of others. But there is a different way to live. It is the way of the architect. An architect would never dream of building a skyscraper without a blueprint. They don't just show up at the construction site with a pile of bricks and say, let's see what happens today. They have a plan. They have a vision that has been translated into precise measurements. Every beam, every bolt, and every window is accounted for before the first shovel hits the dirt. Your life is the most important construction project you will ever manage. Why would you attempt to build a life of success and significance without a daily blueprint? The power of the daily plan is the power of intention over accident. It is the refusal to leave your destiny to chance.
One of the most profound lessons in personal development is this: never start your day until it is finished on paper. This doesn't mean you just write a to-do list. A to-do list is often just a graveyard of errands and trivial tasks that make you feel busy but not productive. A daily plan is a strategic document. It is the result of a conversation you have with yourself about what truly matters. When you plan your day the night before or in the quiet hours of the early morning, you are engaging your prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical part of your brain. You are making decisions while you are calm and objective. If you wait until the heat of the day to decide what to do next, you will be making decisions with your amygdala, the emotional, reactive part of your brain. You will choose the path of least resistance. You will choose the easy over the important. By finishing the day on paper first, you create a mental movie of success. You anticipate the obstacles. You decide where your energy will go. You settle the arguments of what should I do now before they even happen. This saves you a massive amount of decision fatigue, leaving you with more willpower to actually execute the work.
A powerful daily plan isn't complicated, but it is specific. It rests on three essential pillars. 1. The big three, priority. If you could only accomplish 3 things today that would move you closer to your long-term goals, what would they be? These are your non-negotiables. Everything else is secondary. The busy person tries to do 20 things and fails at 18. The productive person does 3 things and masters all of them. 2. Time blocking, execution. A goal without a time slot is just a wish. If you say you're going to work on your business, but you don't say when, it won't happen. You must assign your priorities a territory in your day. From 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., I am working on Project X. No phone, no interruptions. When you block your time, you are giving your tasks a home. 3. The buffer zone, realism. Amateurs plan their day down to the minute with no breathing room. Professionals know that life is messy. Cars break down, meetings run long, and emergencies happen. A great daily plan includes buffer zones, 15 to 30-minute gaps between major blocks of work. This allows you to handle the unexpected without your entire day collapsing like a house of cards. The first hour of your day is the rudder of the day. If you win the first hour, you usually win the day. The daily plan is what makes this possible. Imagine the difference between 2 individuals. Individual A wakes up, hits snooze 3 times, scrolls through Instagram for 20 minutes, feels a sense of anxiety about the world, and then rushes out the door in a panic. They spend the rest of the day putting out fires. Individual B wakes up and knows exactly what needs to happen. They don't have to think, they just have to execute. They have their big 3 identified. They spend the first hour on their most difficult task while their mind is fresh. By 10 a.m., they have already achieved more than individual A will achieve all day. This isn't about working harder, it's about momentum. When you check off your most important task early in the day, you get a hit of dopamine. You feel successful. That success breeds confidence, and that confidence carries you through the afternoon slumps. The daily plan is the engine that generates this momentum.
A daily plan is not just about looking forward. It is also about looking back. At the end of every day, you must perform a closing ritual. Take 5 minutes to review your plan. What did you accomplish? Where did you get distracted? Why did you get distracted? This isn't about guilt, it's about data. If you find that you consistently failed to complete your afternoon tasks, maybe you're planning too much for a time of day when your energy is low. This daily reflection is where the small improvements we talked about earlier happen. You are refining your thinking. You are learning the rhythm of your own productivity. Over weeks and months, this feedback loop turns you into a high-performance machine. You become a student of your own behavior.
There is a psychological shift that happens when you commit your plan to writing. It is the shift from being a subject to being a sovereign. When you don't have a plan, you feel like a subject to your environment. You are at the mercy of your boss, your spouse, your kids, and your notifications. This leads to a sense of learned helplessness and chronic stress. When you create a plan, you are asserting your sovereignty. You are saying, I am the master of my time. I am the creator of my day. Even if you only accomplish 70% of your plan, you are still 100% more in control than the person who has no plan at all. This sense of agency is the foundation of self-esteem. You feel good about yourself because you kept the promises you made to yourself. Many people resist the daily plan because they think it will make them a robot. They think it will take away their spontaneity and their freedom. But the opposite is true.
Discipline equals freedom. When you have a plan and you execute it, you finish your work on time. You don't have that guilty weight hanging over your head while you're trying to relax. The person who has no plan is never truly free. They are always thinking about what they should be doing. The person with a plan works intensely so they can play intensely. They plan their freedom just as much as they plan their work. Because their day is structured, they can be 100% present with their family in the evening, knowing that the work is finished on paper for tomorrow.
The daily plan is the smallest discipline that yields the largest result. It costs you 10 minutes of time and a piece of paper, but it pays you back in clarity, confidence, and cash. I want to leave you with this thought. Your future is being built right now. It is being built in the choices you make for the next 24 hours. Don't leave those choices to your future self, who might be tired, lazy, or distracted. Make those choices now. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and don't go to sleep tonight until tomorrow is finished. If you do this every day, you won't just improve your time management, you will transform your entire life. You will go from a person who wishes to a person who works, and eventually to a person who wins. The blueprint is yours to draw. What will you build tomorrow?
Most people are waiting for a quantum leap. They're waiting for the one big break, the lucky lottery ticket, or the sudden promotion that will change their lives forever. They focus on the horizon, looking for a giant wave of change. But life doesn't work in giant waves. Life works in ripples. Success is not a mountain that appears overnight. It is a coral reef built one microscopic skeleton at a time. The greatest power in the universe is not luck, nor is it raw talent. It is the compound effect. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." While Einstein was talking about money, the exact same principle applies to your minutes. We often dismiss the importance of 5 minutes. We think, it's just 5 minutes. I can't do anything meaningful in that time, so I'll just scroll through my phone. But what you don't realize is that 5 minutes invested daily is 30 hours a year. 5 minutes is a seed. If you throw it away, you lose the harvest. If you plant it, you change your destiny. In the world of professional cycling, there was a team that was mediocre for decades. Then a new coach came in and introduced a philosophy called the aggregation of marginal gains. His idea was simple. If you improve every single element related to cycling by just 1%, those small improvements will add up to a remarkable result. They improved the pillows the rider slept on for better rest. They found a slightly more aerodynamic fabric for the suits. They taught the riders the most effective way to wash their hands to avoid getting sick. Individually, these changes were tiny. They seemed insignificant. But when they compounded, that team went from being nobodies to winning the Tour de France multiple times. You are the athlete of your own life. You don't need to change your whole life tomorrow. You just need to improve your minutes by 1%. If you improve yourself by 1% every day for a year, you won't just be 365% better. Because of the way compounding works, you will be 37 times better than when you started. That is the power of the minutes. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference. Compounding works both ways. It is a double-edged sword. Just as small positive habits build you up, small errors in judgment tear you down. A ship doesn't usually sink because of a massive hole in the hull. It sinks because of a tiny leak that no one bothered to plug.
It's the extra 15 minutes of sleep when you should be up. It's the 10 minutes of complaining at the water cooler. It's the just one more episode on Netflix. Individually, these moments don't feel like they cost much. You don't wake up the next morning broke or unhealthy because of one wasted hour. And that is the danger. Because there is no immediate consequence, you think it's okay to repeat the error. But over 5 years, those leaked minutes add up to thousands of hours of lost potential. Failure is not a single cataclysmic event. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day until the bill finally comes due. The compound effect of minutes will either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. You get to choose which one. The most successful people I have ever met are time investors. They look at their day and see pockets of time that others ignore. Think about your commute. If you spend 30 minutes driving to work and 30 minutes driving back, that is 1 hour a day. In a year, that is 250 hours. If you use that time to listen to University on Wheels, educational audiobooks, seminars, or language lessons, you are essentially attending a masterclass every single year for free. While the person in the car next to you is listening to the same 10 songs on the radio and getting angry at traffic, you are sharpening your mind. You are becoming more valuable. You are building a fortune out of minutes that everyone else considers dead time. Everything you want is on the other side of these small pockets. Want to write a book? Write 200 words a day. In a year, you have a novel. Want to get fit? Exercise for 15 minutes every morning. In a year, you are a different person. Want to be more grateful? Write down one thing every night. In a year, you have a new brain.
The reason most people quit is because compounding is invisible for a long time. If you go to the gym for 3 days and look in the mirror, you see nothing. If you study a new skill for a week, you don't feel like an expert. This is what we call the valley of disappointment. You are putting in the effort, you are being disciplined with your minutes, but the results aren't showing up yet. But here is the secret. The energy is being stored. It's like heating an ice cube. At 31 degrees Fahrenheit, nothing happens. At 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it starts to melt. The 1 degree shift seems the same as the others, but it is the one that breaks the threshold. Your daily disciplines are heating your ice cube. You might not see the change today, but the compound effect is working under the surface. If you stay consistent, you will eventually hit your breakthrough moment, and people will call you an overnight success. They won't see the thousands of minutes you invested when no one was watching.
To master the compound effect of minutes, you must stop being a spender of time and start being an investor. Every time you have a spare 5 minutes, ask yourself, is this an investment or an expense? Checking your email for the 50th time is an expense. Closing your eyes and taking 10 deep breaths to reset your focus is an investment. Gossiping about a coworker is an expense. Sending a quick note of appreciation to a client is an investment. When you begin to value your minutes, you begin to value yourself. You realize that you are the architect of your own character. You are the result of all the minutes you have lived up to this point. If you don't like the result, start changing the minutes.
The clock never stops. As you read these words, the compound effect is already in motion. It is working for you or it is working against you. Don't wait for a new year. Don't wait for a new month. The only time that exists is the minute you are in right now. Take this minute and do something small but significant. Reach out to someone you love. Read one page of a good book. Plan your first hour for tomorrow. The differences between a life of average struggle and a life of extraordinary achievement are found in the small things you choose to improve daily. It's not the big changes, it's the little changes, the ones we sometimes overlook that make the biggest difference over time. Master your minutes, and you will master your life.
We have spent this time together exploring the architecture of success. We've talked about the equalizer of 86,400 seconds, the war between busy and productive, the blueprint of the daily plan, and the hidden math of the compound effect. But now we have reached the most dangerous part of this journey. Why is it dangerous? Because information without application is the beginning of delusion. Knowledge doesn't change your life. Reading books doesn't change your life. Listening to me doesn't change your life. Only action changes your life. There is a specific kind of pain that comes from knowing what you should do and yet failing to do it. I don't want that for you. I want you to feel the weight of this moment. Look at your life right now. Look at your bank account, your relationships, your health, and your peace of mind. Every single one of those areas is a direct reflection of how you have treated your minutes up until this second. If you aren't happy with the harvest, you must change the seeds you are planting. The time for someday is over. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need another workshop. You need a decision.
I am calling on you today to make a commitment to the small discipline. Don't go home and try to overhaul your entire existence in 24 hours. You'll burn out by Tuesday. Instead, I want you to pick one area, just one. Is it your health? Commit to 15 minutes of movement. Is it your mind? Commit to 10 pages of a book. Is it your business? Commit to 1 hour of deep, focused work before you check your phone. The brush is in your hand. The canvas is waiting. The equalizer has just deposited another hour into your account. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to let it leak away into the cracks of distraction, or are you going to invest it in the person you are becoming? Don't wait for the feeling of motivation. Motivation is a fickle friend. Depend on discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Start tonight. Before your head hits the pillow, finish tomorrow on paper. Identify your big 3. Block your time. Set your intention. When you wake up tomorrow, don't ask the world what you should do. Tell the world what you are going to do. You have the power to turn your minutes into a masterpiece. You have the power to attract success by the person you become. But that power only works if you use it. Stand up. Step forward. Take the first minute. Your new life starts now.